Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity, where last time we made it here to Deerford Village, rather, and we were in the process of exploring it when the game messed up. That's the best way I can put it. The game messed up, glitched out. We couldn't read or pick the dialogue options that we were needing to do because the game kept scrolling up. So hopefully that's not going to happen this time. Okay. It doesn't look like it's happening. The middle-aged peasant woman is dressed in a brown leather cloth draped around down to her knees. Her hands are working at separating stringy, colorless vegetables in a pile before her, stripping the heads off of long, fibrous stems with a paring knife. Right. She discards the stems one by one, placing the heads of the vegetables into a small cradle-like basket in front of her. She doesn't greet you as you approach. You're not sure she even knows you're there. So it's not happening, because last time it was just moving us up. I don't know what that was. But luckily it's not happening. So, excuse me? The woman doesn't respond. She keeps stripping the heads from the vegetables with a steady rhythm. She may be deaf. There's no indication she heard you. Study the woman. At first glance, she seems nothing more than a middle-aged woman, unremarkable, maybe less stern than most, who seems more focused on the weaving in her lap than her surroundings. Yet you suddenly notice she's not stripping the vegetables before her any longer. She's weaving, and the vegetable pots are now missing. She still pays you no mind, her brown locks torn and snagged from lack of washing, like many of the townsfolk you've seen. There's a strange blur to her. Even the motions of her hands seem to be playing with the threads that lack color, in a shape that lacks interest. It may be that she is half-minded or deaf, but something feels wrong. As you watch, her knitting takes on an odd cadence, and you have a terrible suspicion that something lurks beneath what your eyes are showing you. Focus on the woman. Her brown hair is long, almost impossibly to the length of her hands. As you follow the streams of her locks downward, the hair becomes long and black, splitting off into threads of black and silver, and wrapping around her hands. She is forming a soul cradle with the threads, braiding a net in front of you, each finger long and sharp like a series of knitting needles, almost hypnotic. The silver and the black strands of her hair weave together, with silver predominating as a highlight, the black shadowing it. And suddenly you are calm. You are on a plateau, almost the height of a tower, several stories high. The plateau is like a table lying beneath a clear sky, and beneath the plateau, surrounding it in all directions, a forest, hazy with mist, although whether it is actual mist or distance, or a recollection. Resting in the curve of a natural arch above you is a great copper bell, half again the size of a man, hanging at attention, as if looking down on you and the event unfolding before you. The plateau has soaked in the sun, and the rock beneath you is rough and warm. The sky forms a cradle around you. You feel different, not disembodied, but you feel your body, your physical contours, have changed along with the surroundings. And you hear a soft series of chimes, like wind chimes. At the sound, the scene gains color and texture, as if the sound is beckoning you gently forth, filling your senses and thoughts, like mist roiling softly into a sealed chamber. And focus on the chimes. The chimes coax you deeper into the memories. And you're certain it is a memory, a warm one. You are on the stone of the plateau, your knees on the warm texture of the ground, silver, white, shimmering like Audra. The plateau is formed of it, glistening in the sun. You can feel the heat on your skin, your wrists, and your hands. Your hands are in motion, weaving, not thread, but gathering, tenderly moving along the first movements of Bareth's wheel. Your hands are wet. Your hands are upon the flesh of a newborn child, and you can feel the crowning of a tiny head, turning in your grip. Its head is slick, wet from the womb. The hands you are wearing, inhabiting, have done this many times, and they are practiced and confident. You can feel distant pains in your own head as the head emerges, a stream of fluid from the womb helping the newborn slide forth, and a woman's laboring breathing, crying out. Focus on the child, the movement of your hands. As your hands move, you hear the sound of chimes, clear, cutting through the haze of memory. You cannot see where they are coming from, but they are close, and they are meant as comfort. Of that you are certain. Draw the child forth. And coaxed by your hands, every movement causing the chimes to sound again, almost eagerly the child comes forth, and as it does, your hands are in motion, weaving, moving along the length of a soft wet rope. No, an umbilical cord. From the legs of the naked woman before you, you are holding a small child, still wet from the womb before you. The child cries out, its cry full of life, full of soul, the ringing of chimes echoing in its thoughts, filling it with its welcome. The soul is blurred at the edges, as if you are viewing a soul from within a soul. But it is there, it is alive. The woman before you is weeping, and at her first cry, her hands reach out for it. Surrender the child. You surrender the child to her, something you have done many times before, and as your hands move, the chimes echo the movement. And you realize the chimes are hanging from cords on your wrists, and where once they echoed in the memory, they are now echoing in the child's mind as well. The chimes are intended to welcome the child, to be its first gentle greeting into the world, a soothing sound guided by the tender motions of your wrists. You are helping it to weave its thoughts, its perceptions, and the experience. The woman laughs with a ragged joy, laughing from a parched throat. Her emotions seem soothed, but the physical demands of labor have left her exhausted. But the child is here, the child is safe, and all atop the plateau is peaceful, calm, distant, flattening out as the memory persists. Slowly pull back and retreat from the memory. With effort, the scene bleeds of color, and your mind becomes your own again. There is no pull, no anchor, yet the sound of the chimes remains. As they existed in the memory, they sound here as well, and they are hanging from the woven braids on the wrists of the woman before you. Even as your head is spinning from the touch of her mind, the sound of the chimes on her wrists is sharp and clear, as if coaxing you back to the real world. The woman still sits before you, but she is nothing like what you saw at first. She is wearing black, shredded garments that drape over her form like streamers. Her hair is streaks of black and run through with silver. Her age is almost impossible to tell. She simply feels old, like a crumbled watchtower. As she lifts her head to face you, you see that her hair is draped across the front of her face like a veil. What you first saw of her was a mental glamour of some sort, unconscious, and you realize what you see is not what the world sees, and you are perhaps the first to see her true self. Still, you don't sense a threat in the realization. If anything, you feel a sense of relief from the figure. You can hear her thoughts, and she's glad to at last be seen. Who are you?
I am seen, but the eyes of others do not remember. You were the first to see me as I am, the call stripped aside.
There's a light touch on your mind, a caress, and her left hand mirrors the motion of her touch, reaching up to the air between you. You hear the chime on her wrist sound, softly. Her hand moves as if pantomiming, resting on your cheek at a distance, and she speaks softly and slowly.
Your memories. A cadence of wheels on a caravan track. Fever. Questions by running water. Violence in a night's campfire. Arrows in the dark. And fleeing. Falling rock and cracking stone. And a storm. The storm.
She swallows, and the chime sounds at her as her hand shakes. And then she stops, her hand frozen in the air.
The storm that brushed you. Did its screaming wake you from your mind's cradle? Your memory of it is painful. Its cry is difficult to ignore. It's like a child. Many children crying out.
The question seems to be for both of you. I encountered a Biowick, yes, and it did something to me. We were attacked in the woods as we were on our way to Gilded Vale. Be cautious what you read in my mind without my leave. What happened between us on that plateau memory we shared? I encountered a Beowick, yes, and it did do something to me. Her hand withdraws shyly, the chimes sounding softly once again. The woman stands, uncertainly, as if she had been sitting for some time, or is too weak to bear her own weight. You notice her cheekbones are tight, her face gaunt, yet, while her stance is weak, she seems determined to stand before you.
You are able to see me.
It is almost a question. You suddenly realize she doesn't seem to know what you saw when you looked at her, the image on the plateau, yet the image was so clear, so sharp, you're surprised she didn't feel you there.
To see me is a rare gift, a watcher's gift.
I've never been able to do that with a living person, except you. How was I able to enter your dream? Was I helping a woman give birth? I was in your head, and hers. You said you could hear a storm in my thoughts. What do you know of the soul storms? I've never been able to do that with a living person, except with you.
So many questions, thoughts, whirling like storm winds. That storm still roars through you, deep beneath your thoughts, yet muted and secret, like an underground river. I cannot tell if it is carving new channels, or eroding what keeps your true strength buried. The fact that you could hear it at all, survive it, is something few have ever done. Your power will grow stronger with each soul you touch, as it allowed you to reach out to mine.
There is a silence, and although it seems to last for but a heartbeat, in your thoughts, it stretches out between the two of you, like a pull between your minds. You blink, take a breath, and then you realize she wants to ask you a question, yet can't form the words, as if assembling them is painful, or there simply are not enough pieces. Assemble the thought. Do you wish to travel with me? If you come with me, you cannot stay here. I must take my leave. Do you wish to travel with me? You feel a wave of fear, gusted with the strength of relief, although oddly, her expression does not change. Then fear dissipates, and you feel strength and certainty, as if the plateau from her memory lies beneath you, and a calm sky looks down upon you. Is that a yes? I guess that's a yes. Okay, well. Wow, I have too many companions. I want to take too many people with me. Alright, yeah, so much like Heravius here, I did not remember her. As soon as I saw her portrait, I remembered, but she's really interesting, at least from what I remember. I actually don't remember her story, but I remember this meeting being really interesting. And she's a cipher. That's really cool. Why can't I have 8 in my party? But I really like Kana. I don't want to leave him behind. But I gotta use her for just a little bit at least, right? It's tough.
Safe travels.
For just a little bit, Kana. You'll be back, buddy. Okay. So she's a cipher. Oh, that's really cool.
I'm ready.
I love the chimes. It's awesome. Okay, let's see what we've got here. So she has a dagger and a crossbow. Cool model, too. Alright. Let's see what we've got for you. So if you're using daggers, that does mean I could potentially give you something along the lines of the stiletto, right? The vent pick. Let's see. That's going to give you a little bit lower accuracy, but more damage. Better than that for sure. Does look really cool. This is a dagger right here though, right? Dawn and Spring. 25% damage inflicted over time. Could do that one. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Where'd that go? There it is. Let's go with that. And I'm going to assume she does not have dual wielding since she came with only one. So we're going to give her one dagger. Armor-wise, you're wearing light armor. All right, do you have any light armor that's not robes? Endurance is robes, no. We have this one. Enchantment high to low. Okay, so... Was this, This might have been somebody's. This might have been Sagani's. Kind of looks like it is, huh? It's difficult to tell. But it is better. A breakout. 50% defense while stunned. Minus 50% stun duration. I don't know. Is that really what we want? I mean, don't really need damage reduction. We could just give you the robe. Right? I mean... Yeah, let's give her the robe. I mean, she is up close, though, so maybe she does need a little bit more damage reduction than that. Although this wouldn't be any more damage reduction. Let's give you the robe. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go into here. Sort by type. So boots, speed, reflex, sturdy. So not a lot of options, really. I guess movement speed would be good. And then gloves, deflection, minor spell bind, perception, dexterity, might. What are your stats? Dexterity, intelligence are your two highs. Okay. Then we will give you the dexterity gloves. There you go. For your helm, intellect, immunity to confusion. That's probably what we're going to give her. Yeah. There you go. And next up is the accessories. So resolve for that. Give you stealth and perception, freeze proof, protection, fortitude, intellect and resolve. That would probably be pretty good for her. It's in the lead at the moment. I don't tend to remember to use a lot of the item abilities, so I think we're going to prioritize just straight stat bonuses here. Jeez, we have a lot of accessories. I think we get down to these, they're just not as good, so we're going to give you this one. Rings. Now, rings is something we don't have a lot of good things of, so we'll just give you deflection and oversee. Let's give you suppress affliction. And then for your belt, that's another thing we don't have a whole lot of great things for anymore. I guess that would be helpful since you're on the front line. There we go. And I don't remember how to play a cipher. Although this is, I'm pretty sure this is definitely what I played on what my main character was last time I played this game. I don't remember any of these abilities though. And you know what? I'm probably not going to use her very much. Ciphers are really cool though. I do like ciphers. But to be honest, as soon as we go back to Cadnua, we're probably going to be leaving her behind. Which actually might not be for a while, so she might be in the party for a little bit, but hopefully I don't need to learn her. I know, I probably should, but like, that's the problem with, giving companions this late on. For me personally, it's just, it's tough to learn an entire class that's, essentially at max level already. I don't know. It's a lot more work learning the class than the gradual learning of the class as you level them up. It's one of the reasons why in like tabletop games, at least from my knowledge, you don't usually start characters at really high levels because they just don't connect with their characters as much. I don't think anyway. It's one of the things, I'm just going to go on a little rant here real quick. It's one of the things in MMOs too, where you have like the level boosts, where you just you create a character, you buy a level boost, and bam, you're at max level or close to max level. I always hated doing that. I never felt like I knew what my character was about. Even in a game where I knew pretty much what those classes did, like when I played World of Warcraft a lot or Final Fantasy XIV a lot, and I knew basically what all the classes were like. If I ever made a new character and boosted that class up to max level, I just wouldn't. It just never felt good to me. I just never felt a connection to him, and it's going to be the same for her,
flow deeply indeed.
which is unfortunate because she seems super cool.
Hey.
I think if I ever do play this game again, which I don't know when that would ever be, but I'd probably just go the main story and rush to get these 2 companions. Maybe just rush to get all the companions. That way I can... Not even then, you can only have 6. I don't know. Let's go in here. Enough wasting time. We've got people to kill and probably people to save as well. I don't even know where we're going right now. Is this a shop? A ledger lies open on the desk. It lists purchase and sale amounts for various alchemical ingredients and concoctions.
Of course.
Is ours stealing? That's trapped as well. Hello? Reach out. You see a modestly furnished house, warm from the cooking fire lit at its far end. The man is sitting in a high-backed chair, looking at a large book with a small boy in his lap. He smiles and asks the child about the pictures on the pages as he prints to different parts of them. He looks up as a woman approaches to stir something in the pot hanging over the fire. She adds some carrots to the pot, mixes them in, then stands and turns to the man. She says something to him and leans in to give him a kiss when a knock comes at the door. The man makes the stand and the woman motions for him to stay. She walks to the door and glances out the window. It is already too dark outside for anything to be seen. She lifts the bolt and the door and pulls it open, revealing a tall, lanky man with a strange smile on his face. There's a wet, tearing sound, and the woman makes a weak groan, collapsing to the floor, blood quickly pooling around her. The man in the chair leaps to his feet, grabbing his son and interposing himself between the boy and the man at the door, who steps over the body and enters the house. Galark vowed you would feel his pain, the man says, conversationally, as 4 other men enter the house behind him. It appears your rent has come due. Eee. It's tough, man. That's tough. One of these stories we'll read, they'll have a very happy story. You know, the wife will go to the door and it'll be just like a bouquet of flowers that the husband ordered for her, and she'll take them, smell them, love the smell of them, and then go sit them down, and they'll have a nice dinner with their family.
I could believe it until I met you. And I thought it was our raw meat diet that made us strange.
Well, that too, honestly.
It is strange. Potions for sale. Potions and out. Oh.
How do you do?
A young woman leans against a wagon. One arm and one side of her face are covered in bandages with raw, rippled flesh showing underneath. A minty, tangy scent wafts from her dressing. She smiles painfully. Just ventured into town? I'm about dry on some of my stocks, but you're welcome to have a look-see. How'd you get burned? She turns her face to the ground. By the flame. How bad does it look? Just say it. I know you'll tell me straight. It looks like it hurts. Relax, it's not that bad. I'm surprised you'd go out in public like that. Who cares how it looks? What matters is that you're okay. I just wanted to know how it happened. Yeah. It looks like it hurts. She laughs ruefully. That's a mighty soft way of putting it. I've been keeping an eye on a drake's nest east of town, at Deerford Crossing. The beast stayed just long enough to lay a clutch and move on. Thank the Sky Mother it wasn't a full-grown dragon. She looks at her bandaged arm and grimaces. Fresh eggs are much more useful than the ones that get passed between merchants or left in nests for weeks or more. And the clutch looked to be at its peak. Thought I'd see about getting an egg, but I didn't realize so many of them had already hatched, or that young worms were so territorial. What's so special about these eggs? They're one of the strongest tonics known to Kith. If you leave out Carogolin, of course. Not saying anyone should take that, but dragon eggs are known to make Kith bold, purposeful. Some even think they'll protect from Beowicks, she shrugs. All I know is everyone's pining after potions made from dragon eggs. But the damn roads. Can't reach none of my suppliers, so I'm stuck with whatever I can scrounge up in the wood. Dry cap, river reed, and the like. I could get the eggs for you. She keeps her gaze steady, but you see hope kindling in her eyes and twitching at the corners of her mouth. I sure hope you're not leading me on. I don't think I could stand getting burned again. She bites her lip. If you really mean to go after it, I'd certainly pay you. Just remember, big as they are, dragon eggs are fragile, and there's a lot more than I can do. And there's a lot more I can do with a whole one.
Welcome.
She adjusts one of her bandages. Anything else I can do for you? I've got some handy ointments if you're braving the roads anytime soon. I'm looking for knifery. I did see an Orlan lady headed into the Dracogen just the other day. She points across the road at the large building. Don't know what her name was, but she was acting real sneaky-like. Dragon eggs? Oh, okay. It's a nest. I thought it was going to be the same thing. So tell me about the dragon egg. It's in a nest. It's in a nest that is perched in a cliff on the east end of Deerford Crossing. I can't. Oh my god! That's out in the wilds, just east of here. I'm sure there are others elsewhere, but the one at Deerford Crossing is just the age I need. If you head out that way, be careful. The place was crawling with worms when I went out there, and I can't imagine they've gone anywhere else. What's wrong with the roads? A noise of disgust rattles from her throat. Brigands, looters, you name it. The gods may be hollowing out our babies, but it's grown folk that's rubbing out the rest of us. People are scrambling to Defiance Bay because they hear there's healthy births there, and all those refugees and abandoned homes attract desperate sorts, like flies on dog shit. Show me your wares. Sure thing. Nothing I want or need. What are these again? Rage bonus, and Whisper of Treason, plus 12 will. Okay. Get a dragon egg from Deerford Crossing, okay? Okay. So that's the big building, right? So where have we explored already? Did we go down there already? I don't actually remember. So I'm pretty sure we came down here and then we went there. I'm guessing we went in there. Maybe we just went straight across. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh, the smell around here reminds me of this stable hand, Drutman. Not real popular with the women, Drutman.
Poor Drutman. Trigill's Curary. Alright. Let's see what's in here. I can't find it anywhere. I never... We'll talk about this later. Get back to the dyes. I'll take care of our customer. You'll take care of me, huh? What is that supposed to mean?
Welcome.
A sturdy, broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same foul compound wafting from the vats, and his arms are stained with dye. You looking to purchase some leather? Show me what you have for sale. Rumbold mentioned something about an ogre. What's in the collapsed tower? Have you seen Knifery and Orlan from Defiance Bay? Knifery. Make it a point to keep out of other people's business. He wipes a splotch of dye from his elbow with his shirt tail. Something else you need. What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed. Nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. A few hides on stretching racks, and the tallow stench Dingler's always grumbling about. The rest of the keep's dust, just like the fool lady Thanu who tried to hold it. There's a bard at the inn who'll tell you the whole blazing story if you want to hear it. Rumbold mentioned something about an ogre. He's hardly talked about anything else since those pigs of his went missing. The whole town's been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing its growl in the snoring of their mates. It would put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. He scrapes at the red pigment under his fingernails. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collecting ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen tracks east of here, near the river. That couldn't have been anything else. Show me what you've got. Okay, you've actually got some stuff here. Anything interesting? Girdle of Mortal Protection. 25, 27. Yeah, okay. We have those. And the troll hide belt. +1 endurance every 3 seconds. Nice. Do we want to do that? Nah, not really.
Hey.
That's locked. Saban, I'm not one for chit chat. Godlike, speak to Tyrgirl if you've got questions. Okay. No need to go, breaking into his storage house or storage room. Even though I'm sure there's something cool back there. But we ain't no thief, for the most part.
All right, then.
Hello, boys.
So those feathers, that's a blessing of Helia?
So they say.
Well, that's lucky. Where I'm from, we see a feathered lady, we start worrying maybe her dad got frisky with his hens.
I guess you can always trust a farm boy's head to go there first.
Alright, hero. Reach out for the soul. You see a man stumble, unfamiliar vestments tripping him. He pushes himself to his feet, unsteady, and continues along the empty road. His lips are chapped and dry, skin glazed with dust, but something about the set of his jaw tells you he has far yet to walk. As night stains the sky, he stops, whispering a fire into existence with the help of some wood. He attempts to sleep, staring into the stars. He continues in this fashion for several days, only occasionally drinking water from a goat skin as he moves. It takes him days to reach the temple, and when he does, his knees falter and give way, crashing him to the ground. The monks take him in, and he shares his tidings, meaningless to anyone but them, and when he is recovered, he begins anew, his stride strengthened with food and rest, mind clear with meditation and purpose, and a long way yet to walk. Alright, that was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good story. Reach out. You see this man in the middle of the forest, back against a tree. His head is turned, and he strains to hear something. He turns his head the other direction and slowly slides down the tree, ending in a crouch. He cautiously moves forward, keeping to the shadows. His steps are silent as he gingerly places his feet between twigs and leaves. A grunting noise echoes through the quiet morning, and shuffling footsteps rustle as they approach him. He cranes his head around the trunk of the tree and spies his target. He edges his way through the tree, keeping it between him and his quarry. The shuffling comes closer, the grunting now accompanied by a wet snuffle. Bracing himself against the tree, he holds his position, waiting. Then, with almost supernatural grace, he pushes himself from the tree and swings around it to the right, practically running along its trunk, floating as he moves. He lands in front of the boar, rooting its way around the clearing, his knife flicking lightning quick across its neck. Before the startled animal can even react, he leaps onto its back, squeezing his knees into its sides and gripping the hair at the back of its neck. The beast starts to buck and tries to run from its attacker, and the man merely holds on and waits for the inevitable, enjoying the thrill of a hard-earned feast, thinking about what herbs would bring out the boar's natural flavors best. In seconds, the struggle is over, and the thrill is gone, replaced by the same dull craving that brought him here in the first place. It has left him faster even than the last time, and already he thinks about how he might top it. Alright, so we got a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. There's the collapsed tower, and then the bridge leading east out of the city. Don't need to do that yet. Let's just go explore up here. Another soul to read. You see a black-clad figure, bent low and moving slowly through a field. The figure holds a gleaming blade in his hand, keeping it hidden behind his back. He approaches another man who is crouched over, actions hidden by a large bush he has crawled halfway under. The figure stops moving as the man comes out from under the bush. You see that it is this man, holding a handful of berries he has retrieved from a smaller bush that lies hidden in the overgrowth that surrounds it. He crawls back under the large bush, his arms moving again as he picks the berries. The figure begins moving again, slinking toward the man. He does not stop picking, but you see his head tilt very slightly to the side. He continues to work at the bush until the figure is almost on him. He backs out, hands full, and places the berries in a basket. Then he crouches before the basket, sorting the berries, removing leaves and any berries that doesn't look perfect. The figure comes up behind the man and raises the blade to strike. The man suddenly rocks back on his feet, spinning around to face the figure behind him. He grabs the figure's wrist and falls onto his back, planting a leg in the center of the figure's chest. The figure flies over the man and lands on his back in the dirt. The man is straddling the figure in an instant, his hand snapping out, hitting several points around the head and neck. The figure immediately falls unconscious. The man stands and retrieves the basket, collecting the berries and placing them back where they belong. Then he returns to picking. Alright. Not a terrible story, right? Like, I mean, I guess if you're the assassin, it's not going too well, but if you're the target, I guess things are going great. You survived, and you're going to have some berries to eat. Okay. I think we've done everything on this little island here. Or, I guess not an island, but this chunk of land. She's been missing for days. You people can't keep stonewalling us. Okay, that's the person we've been hired to look for. Let's just go down here and make sure we did look at this building already. Arms and armory. I'm sure we did, but let's just double check. Okay, yeah, I remember coming in here. But just to make sure... Well, now I definitely... Yeah, okay, we read all that stuff. I remember now. Alright, let's go to the big house then. And then I guess we'll, well, we'll see what we get there, but then we'll move on to the... I already forgot. The place east of here. The Deerford Crossing, that's it. Take care of the ogre and those dragons. Alright, what do we got here? The Dracagen Inn. The Dracagen? We call it the Dracagen. Okay, villagers. There's Sid. There's a person's soul to read. Eorn.
I just want to
Dingler.
find her. Surely even you can understand that.
Danda.
We're decent folk, my lord. Perhaps you should leave and check the wilds.
There's Lord Herond. Alright, just want to take a look around real quick. Get our bearings, pace. Alright, first things first, let's read the 2 souls we have. Reach out. You see this woman running through the streets of a small city. She pushes her way through the crowd, glancing over her shoulder as she does. Her clothing is torn and her hair disheveled. Even though she appears to be attempting to escape from someone, her eyes sparkle with joy. Her mouth is pulled back in an enormous grin, and occasionally a small giggle works its way out of her throat. While looking over her shoulder, she runs headlong into a well-dressed man standing at one of the market stalls. The moment she sees the man she runs into, her face changes. Gone is the glee, replaced by fear. Her grin twists into a frown, her bottom lip quivering. The man, seeing her appearance, expresses concern for her well-being, and she leans against him, weaving a tale of a brutish man with wandering hands. As she speaks, her own hands travel over his body, seeking and exploring. There is a shout from across the crowd, and they both look over to see a large, angry man approaching, roughly pushing his way through the crowd that separates them. She stiffens against him, feigning fear. The man tells her not to be afraid, and steps in front of her to block the path of the figure who is coming nearer. The woman smiles, slowly backing away from them both, then lets out a gleeful cackle. Her protector turns, confused, and sees her departing, laughing and shaking a coin purse. She spins and races off through the crowded marketplace. Confused, the man feels at his belt. His face hardens and he yells, joining the chase after the laughing woman, losing herself in the crowd. Gotta be careful, man. Make sure their hands are where you can see them. Reach out. You see a man open the door of a house, slow with fatigue. He steps inside, unlacing his boots. rubbing his temple, wrinkle of a smile lighting his face as he moves into a generous kitchen. He calls for someone, slicing himself some bread. The house creaks gently in response. His lips purse, and he pads out of the kitchen into a large room with a staircase. Chewing slowly, he takes the stairs one at a time, calling once more. No response. His body freezes for a moment as he walks into a room upstairs. Nothing on the lone bed but an abundance of faded felt toys. Moving faster, he checks each room, his call growing more urgent. No response. Any sign of exhaustion is gone, replaced with limber panic. He checks cupboards, baths, anywhere the child might hide. Nothing. Then a letter next to the door he came in from, with a queer symbol on its wax seal. One he's seen before. He crumples, shoulders shaking against the hard wall. Nobody sees him weep. Shit. Sorry, man. That's tough. Alright, let's start talking to people. First person we saw was Sid.
Greetings.
A redhead stands by the fire, tuning her lute and plucking its strings. She hums snatches of a melody as she goes. First time at the track again? Normally, I'd have a song ready, but I haven't quite worked out this tune yet. I'm writing some chants about the founding of this inn. Say, you interested in the story? I haven't finished the chants, but I could tell you about it all the same. So this was the bard we heard tale of? Sure, let's have it. Pelagina rolls her golden eyes and exhales for an excessively long time through her nose. It was built in the time of Hadrit's rebellion, and a Diran lady, Thenu, once had a keep here. One of the towers still stands, but the rest is said to be buried under the village. Anyway, she stuck to the side of the empire, and a contingent of Duke Hadrit's Knights of the Crucible helped the farmers and colonists in the area turn her keep to rubble. This inn was the first building that sprang up from the ruin, built with some of the same bricks the colonists had pulled from the Lady Thenu's castle, they say. Supposedly, the quarterstaff of her chief wizard even got lost in the construction, mortared into the wall or nailed under the floorboards. Anyway, the inn was supposed to be a haven and a meeting place, while the locals built their new town. What do you mean supposed to be? Dear Woodens are an honorary lot, and the more these new neighbors met, the more they argued. They realized they didn't agree on much beside ousting the old lord. The biggest divide was over the Glanfathans and their nearby ruins. Hadrit's Knights and their supporters wanted to keep the peace, but a group of misfits with more anarchic learnings that had formed in town wanted to go after the tribes the same way they'd gone after their lord. Soon, the villagers were fighting with each other as much as with the Dirans. In the end, memories of the Broken Stone War and the War of the Black Trees were fresh enough that the Duke's soldiers won the day. Most of the other villagers came around eventually, but some of the core troublemakers left to join the front lines of the War of Defiance, and others, I've heard, found their way into the Gilded Compass, the most forward-looking of the Glanfathan tribes. I don't know if I believe that part myself, but it makes for a good story. She points to the east wall. There's a portrait of one of the chief rabble-rousers and his rival in the peacekeeping faction. Someone's idea of a joke. I don't think they were particularly amused. Here, tell me about the Broken Stone War. That was the first major conflict between the original Adiran settlers and the Glanfathans. Happened 3 years ago, or 3 years into colonization, when some farmers knocked over an Adra menhir? That was part of the Ingwithan ruins. The war didn't last long, but it spread quickly and claimed thousands. In the early weeks, most of the colonists didn't even realize there was a war going on until the Glanfathan raiders hit their villages. There'd been small, spontaneous skirmishes between the colonists and the locals before then, but this was organized, and it was the start of decades of violence between the colonists and the Glanfathans. As you can see, Deerwood's full of history, even in little villages like this. Tell me about the War of Black Trees. It started back in the colonial days, almost 30 years after the Broken Stone War. Even though isolated conflicts still broke out between the settlers and the Glanfathans, both sides had officially agreed to peace. Indring Handrit, Admith's father, was Grieve at the time. As part of as part of peace negotiations, he'd signed treaties prohibiting Adirian colonists from looting Ingrithan ruins. However, he'd been unable to outlaw the use of captured Glenfathans as slaves. What's a grief? A grief is the governor of a colony and is subservient to the Adirian emperor. The early leaders of the Adir colonies in the Deerwood, including Edring and Admeth Hadrit, were griefs. At the start of the War of Defiance, Admeth Hadrit declared himself Duke of the independent Deerwood rather than Grief of the Emperor's colony. It was the same term he used for leader of the newly independent Valian republics. Anyway, we haven't had a grief since. I see. Indeed, the taking of Glenfathan slaves had continued to be a source of conflict. It came to a head when imperial agents, aided by certain earls and Deerwood, began looting the ruins again. See, the Empire had never actually agreed to Hadrit's treaties on the matter, and the recent secession of the Valian republics likely left them eager to weaken Hadrit's position. The looting sparked a brutal slave uprising and a guerrilla campaign among the Glenfathans. Indrig Hadrit was too old to lead forces into battle, and so he sent his son, Admeth. Admeth made a costly but effective decision that ended the war faster than anyone could have imagined. He burned the forest near the Iskyn River to keep the Glenfathan war bands from retreating. Thousands of Glenfathans died, and as Admeth repeated his scorched earth tactics in the following months, he wore down the remainder of their forces. To this day, over 150 years later, there are still sections of the Deerwood where the trees are nothing but bare, charred trunks. We saw that, right? Farewell. Cool. Alright, Eorn. Why, it's you! Thank you, friend. You've given me another chance, and I mean to make the most of it. I've been telling everyone around here about how you helped me. Uh-huh, yep. Yorn. Yorn. Is that from the White Marches? Hey. Or the White March? I don't remember you at all, buddy. I'm sorry. Alright, bartender.
Good day, stranger.
The innkeeper digs inside a mug with a dirty rag. His eyes under his thick brows are tired but watchful. He gives you a quick nod as you approach the bar. Don't see many travelers these days. Something I can do for you. What was your exchange with the nobleman about? He looks up from polishing his tankard and glowers at the lord. Folk round here's decent. They mind their own business. You want to stick your nose in it? Go talk to them yourself. Okay? Questions about Deerford? He runs his rag around the rim of his mug. Ask. Have you seen an Orlan named Nifrey? He jerks his head at the stairs. Twitchy lady. That one. Alright, that was easy. Tell me about the village. Walk from one bridge to the next and you've seen it. We're quiet, hard-working folk, who we keep to ourselves and don't take to being pushed around. He glares at the well-dressed man standing off to the side. There used to be a castle here, built by some family of Adiran Thanes back when the Empire first came. Only one tower still standing, and that's part of Tyrgil's shop now. Sid, that bar by the fire, can spin you the yarn if you're so inclined. I don't think we got the yarn about that, did we? Not the tower specifically. We got the tale of the village's foundings. Who lives in Deerford? Not many anymore. Hard to keep people around when everyone here's birthing Hollowborn. But we got a few who stick around and do business. Tyrgil's the leather courier. Hindina crafts potions, and Winfrith trades in general goods. Rumbold's a pig farmer, or was anyway. Tell me about Tyrgil. He's a courier. Treats leather and makes armor and a few other goods with it. Problem is, the smell of tallow and deer shit tends to put people off their food. And his shop's right next door. What's Hindina's story? Lady's a clever hand with potions and poultices. Got herself into trouble with a nest of worms or so, I hear. Her cart's on the east end of town. And Winfrith? Been around even longer than I have. Nice enough fellow, but never could find his way to the end of his sentence. His shop's across the square. Something happened to Rumbold's pigs, I take it. Damn ogre carried them off. Now he squeals more than his herd ever did. He shrugs. It is rotten luck. Let's go back to my previous question. You said you don't see many travelers? Of course not. Why would anyone come here? We got bandits on the road and ogres in the forest. That yapping fool Rumble'll tell you. Worse yet, hasn't been a healthy child born here in over a year. Most kith that come here is just passing through. About that ogre. No one's seen hide nor hair of it lately. Rumors going around that some foreigner killed it. Gives you a calculating look. Did I kill it? I don't know. Never mind. He places the clean mug under the bar and grabs another. Food to drink. See what rooms he had. Okay. Guess we don't need anything from that. Do we need a room? Not really. Although I guess we are kind of injured. A little bit, but not really. Let's go back here. Pace. What are you doing in the kitchen? Dingler'll get you sorted out with food and drink. Okay. That's stealing. Heavy sweet perfumes emanate from the barrels. The stave joints are stained dark brown and dull purple. Okay. Lord Herond. The man wears Adir-style robes, simple but elegant. His fine leather shoes look like they were made for padding around indoors, yet they're caked with mud. He yanks at a lock of hair twined around his silk-gloved finger. His fine features are etched with anxiety.
My child is out there. Do they not understand?
A voiced character?
My lord, we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, these villagers...
Beasts take them all. I don't care how you do it, but find her.
He jerks a few strands from his head. Your child is missing, I take it.
Yes, Lady Alice.
Alice.
My daughter.
He tugs at the fingertips of his gloves.
I've asked around, but nobody in this mud hole has any concerns beyond their swine. They turn my men away like beggars and seem downright pleased to be of no use. But you're not one of my soldiers. And you look like you're used to getting your hands dirty, if you don't mind my saying so.
Not at all. His guard leans in. My lord, a simple vagabond. Heron raises a hand to silence the man. If you find her, he nibbles the thumb of one silk glove. Tell her I won't be upset with her. She can come back and all will be well. I just want to make sure my Alice, my child, is safe. Nothing in the world is more important to me. Can I ask you a few questions?
Alice. Of course.
He blinks at you and licks his lips. Describe her. She is a striking young woman. Bears more resemblance to her mother than to me. She has auburn hair and delicate, well-bred features. She must be, 28 or 29 now. Tell me about her disappearance. We'd stopped in Deerford for a few days. On our fourth evening here, I was making plans to continue our journey. Lady Alice was feeling unwell and went to bed. When I retired a couple hours later, I found that she had vanished. None of my men had seen her go, and no one at the inn knew where she was. Since then, my people have been combing the village, but we've yet to find a clue, and the locals have been no help. Why did you and Alice come to Deerford? It was merely a stop along the way to Aina's Rest. However, she took ill shortly before our arrival, so it seemed prudent to allow her a few days to recover. What's in Aina's Rest? He frowns as if about to protest, but he gives in with a sigh. Lady Alice has reached an age where it is prudent for her to marry. Given this legacy business, I can't let her fertile years slip by, nor do I want her womb to fester in the presence of so many Hollowborn. It seems that there would be more potential suitors in New Hamar or New Yarma. You think I haven't considered that? Arranging a suitable match is difficult. The best prospects for my child lay in Aina's Rest. Okay. Where's the rest of your family? Surely they wouldn't have wanted to miss your daughter's betrothal. Lady Herond is ill-suited for travel, I'm afraid. And unfortunately, Alice has few other close relatives. My sister and her husband, Alice's aunt and uncle, of course, have been visiting Adir these past months. He rubs his knuckles. And as for siblings, Alice has none. My wife has only given birth to Hollowborn, since Alice, that is. Sorry about that. Going back to your daughter. What about her? Let's go back to my previous questions. Something more? Go on then. I heard you're arguing with the innkeeper.
A petty, small-minded man, just like the rest of them around here. I've been paying him an honest fee for board and bed, and yet he can't be bothered to stir himself to concern for my Alice.
This is why I'm hoping you can help. He tugs at a lock of hair again. I should have never trusted these people around my child. Tell me about yourself.
I'm Lord Nestor Harrand of Defiance Bay. My family has been prominent there since Imperial times. Our primary estate is on the outskirts of Brackenbury, but we have holdings in New Haomar as well. Those went to my sister and her husband.
Goodbye. Okay. Let's just take a look up here. Hooded man who's coming up the stairs. Don't know. This painting depicts a fostered ravine. A forested ravine. I can't read. It's not him. Don't worry. What you guys talking about? A forested ravine somewhere in the living lands. And knifery. The Orlan hovers by the window, peering out of it every few seconds. As you enter the room, she watches you carefully, her hand hovering over her stiletto. She cranes her head to peer behind you. Anyone following you? Who sent you? Someone told me you were responsible for heinous killings in Defiance Bay. Let me guess. Was that someone named Medrith? She draws her stiletto. It's a lie. Plain and simple. I got on the wrong side of his employers, and now he's after me. But if you're here to do his dirty work, I won't make it easy on you. Relax. I just want to hear your side of the story. What story? The Dominels came after me. I just happened to rob the wrong place. How was I supposed to know they'd already claimed it? She runs her hand under her hood and through her hair. It was an honest mistake. I'm just trying to survive now. And if you spoke with Medrith, you know where he's waiting. Please, help me get out of here. Go east. Medrith is waiting for you, just west of the river. She nods slowly. All right, I'm trusting you. Don't have much choice. See if you can send him the other way. That should buy me some more time. She follows the hooded figures toward the stairs, giving you a final uncertain glance as she passes through the door. Yep. We're not fans of the Dominels, so don't want to help them out. That being said... No, I didn't want those to go in his inventory. And I know I just stole after saying I'm not a thief, but a little while ago. But, you know, it's just sitting there, waiting for me. This painting portrays the expansive foothills below the mountains of White March. Okay, we're going to save these guys for tomorrow. Oh, okay. Wait, the floorboard? It's true! Guildmaster's staff. Neat. The legends are true. Where is it? Is this it? This staff is topped by an emerald green orb. Between two wing-like protrusions, the long slender stave is banded and reinforced with gold casings. Restore minor endurance. Neat.
Hey.
Neato. Okay. Anything in here? Just some...
This won't stop me for long. There! Done!
It's not stealing. These are free.
Stop me for long. There! Done!
Nice. Okay. I think that is where we're going to end this episode. In tomorrow's episode, or the next episode, we will, we'll do the quests here. We gotta find, Alice, and we have to find, or not find, we found Knifery. We have to send the Dominel men in the opposite direction. I think that's all we had to do in the town, and then we have some things to do at the crossing, with the ogres and the dragons. Yeah. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful day. I really mean that. And I'll catch you later.